Okay. Okay, yay, we're recording. Okay, so today we are going to talk about booking parties, particularly if you are in your first, 30 days, 12 weeks with UBAM, but this might be helpful regardless of how long you've been with this company. And so I know that there are many different team pages represented on this Zoom, but I can promise you that in your team page, regardless of what team that you are in, there is going to be some resources and some trainings that you can watch on how to get parties booked. And so if you watch this and you're like, okay, that didn't help, go back and look at the other trainings. Excuse me, oh God. It's been a long few days around here. The little one isn't sleeping. So there is some other trainings that you can watch, but we're going to go ahead and dive in and talk a little bit about booking parties. So before we get into the nuts and bolts of how to book the parties, the first thing that I wanted to talk to you guys about is actually the mindset shift that has to occur before we can even start booking them. So number one, what is your current mindset about parties? Do you believe that your parties with UBAM will be successful? Because if you do not believe that, it is going to affect the parties that you do. Number two, are you okay with someone saying no? So when we reach out and we ask people if they'd like to have a party with us, are you okay with them saying no? If you are not, that's what we need to adjust before we get into the nuts and bolts of booking them. I'm sorry, this puppy. Number three, do you believe that it only takes one party to truly launch your business? So all of this has to do with the mindset that we have about parties, because if our mind is not in the right place, it doesn't matter what actions that we are taking. We have to be in a booking mindset. We have to be in a mindset where we can't wait to share about the books. We can't wait to find hostesses because we can't wait to bless them with free books. We are not bothering. We are blessing. We are finding our people. Okay, so the mindset shift does have to take place. Okay, so let's get into how to start. Well, if you have not launched yet, so maybe you are brand new, you haven't even had your launch party yet, yay, welcome. The first piece of advice that I can give you is get 2 parties booked before your launch even happens. Having a launch party is great if you can get sales in, but really the whole point of having a launch party is to get parties booked. If you get sales, yay! But if you have a $500 launch with no parties booked, your business is dead. You have nowhere to go. If you have a launch and you get 2 parties booked, your business has actually started. Have you already had your launch party? Have another one with the sole focus of booking parties. So this we're going to talk a little bit about in a little bit, about different ways that you can have like a second launch party. One would be a home party, have some people over to your house. Another one would be a mystery hostess party, which we'll talk about in a minute. Okay, so ways to book parties. So number one, most of the parties that we book, the easiest way to book parties, the most successful way to book parties is booking from parties. So very rarely do I get to the point where I have a completely empty calendar. Very rarely do I get to the point where I have to go and just start mass messaging my friends. Very rarely do I have to get to that. Why? Because I am intentional about getting 2 parties booked from every party. I know that the most successful parties happen when my customers are excited. They don't happen because I'm like begging them to host for me or because they feel guilty. They happen because they come to a party, they fall in love with our product, and then they want to host their own. I also know that as the closer to the party that I can get the party booked, the more successful that it will be. So if it's, 24 hours after the live party, maybe I have a 75% success rate. If it's 48 hours after the party, that's going to go down to maybe 50. If it's 72 hours after the party, that's going to go even further down. The further away from the party date, the less excited that they are. Okay, so number 2, have your own mystery hostess party or second launch party. So a mystery hostess party, this is a party where we invite our friends, we invite our past customers if you have any, and basically you're going to be giving away the hostess rewards. Now these work really well if you do it correctly, okay? There is like a certain way that you have to do these parties for them to see success. The biggest thing that I can recommend with these parties is one, guaranteeing a certain amount of free books. There is something about when you send a message and you're like, hey, do you want to come enter to win $50 in free books. There is something about that that excites people and it catches their eye. Another thing that's really necessary with these parties is your follow-up has to be on point. We keep these parties open for 48 hours. That night where the party is ending is where all of the parties will get booked from it, if you handle it correctly. There definitely is a heavy follow-up for mystery hostess parties on day 2, though. So if you're thinking about doing one, I would recommend reaching out to your leader and they can kind of walk through what it takes to be successful with that. Number 3, have a book baby shower. So when I kind of reach a dead end with my bookings or whatever it might be, I have to look at finding hostesses in like a different mindset. So I'm going to think about, okay, who is maybe newly pregnant that I could host a little book baby shower for? Maybe this is their first time ever needing books. This is their first baby. I will say that when I look for like my perfect ladies have a book baby shower for, it is somebody who this is their first baby, and we can fill that baby's library up. Number 4 is have a party with a purpose. So again, these parties, I get to ask people that might not host for any other reason. I have a dear friend from high school. She has never hosted a party for me. She had never bought for me until I was doing fundraisers for March of Dimes. She had a baby who was in the NICU for a few months. And so she was really passionate about babies, about March of Dimes in general. And so she did a party with a purpose for me, which we were able to donate all of the free book rewards back to March of Dimes for them to hand out to women that had babies in the NICU. And so that was something that she was really passionate about, that she was willing to get past her, like, I don't want to bother my friends, because it was an organization that she was passionate about. So think about people like, what is an organization that you could partner with? Who are some people that are passionate about certain things, whether it be adoption or foster care or maybe mission trips or, single mothers or whatever it might be, but find an organization that you could partner with. Number 5, customer care. So anytime a new title release happens, that is when I do a big dose of customer care. I go back through all of my past customers and I find books that I think their kiddos would love that came out with the new titles. And so the best way to do this is, of course, to do a party for your customers. You can do like a VIP customer party, you can do a mystery hostess party, you can do a new titles party, but basically our whole reason for doing this is showing off the new books. We want people to come to a party, fall in love with the books, and then decide to host their own. And then number 6, people that you have asked in the past to host a party, if they ignored you or if they say no, let's follow up and offer them an incentive. If you are new, showing them how many free books that they can get is a really powerful incentive. Maybe you could offer something else. So like a book, one of their favorite books or one of the new titles that you think that they would love for free. So if you're brand new, you probably don't know about the party bonus books category yet, but if you offer books for free, there's a category that we can use that basically you only have to pay 35% of that cost. And so it's not going to be like 100% out of your pocket. So don't worry about that. Okay. So we have the right mindset. We are in a booking mindset. We are in this. We are confident. We want to ask people to host because we want to bless them. We have some great ideas of parties that we can do or ways to book parties. So the next thing that we need to talk about, you're sending all these messages, you're asking all these people, whether it be from parties or whatnot. The next thing that we need to talk about is speaking into hesitations. You guys, it is still extremely rare for me if I ask somebody like, would you like to host a party? It is very rare for someone to be like, sure, let's do it. Like, very rare does that happen. Maybe 1 in 15 of my parties, they said yes right away. You are going to have hesitations, okay? Again, we have to be in the right mindset to be ready to speak into these hesitations, okay? So the easiest way for me, and I know some people are like, but I feel pushy. I get that. But the easiest way that I could explain this is think about your thoughts the first time that you hosted a party. If you were one of those 15 people that didn't have any hesitations, then ask a friend how they felt. But most of us probably had hesitations ourselves. I was asked before to host and I said no. My reason, 1, I thought it was going to be a flop. 2, I didn't want to bug my friends. 3, I didn't want to waste the consultant's time. Like I had a fear of the party not going well. I am orange, I like to have fun. And so if I thought there was like any sort of fear of failure, I didn't even want to do it. And so I said no for a while. And still to this day, I haven't hosted a single other party other than my Usborne parties. And so like I understand that people are hesitant about it because I was too. And so I can speak into that and I don't feel pushy. I feel as a place of like, I completely get it. This is what I found though. So the best thing that I can tell you is just they don't know what they're missing. They don't know how easy it is. And so we can speak into these hesitations in a way that isn't pushy. So hesitation number 1, I don't have enough friends. No one would buy. Yeah, I get that, right? I felt the same way too, but I will say that the best thing, the best way that I found to speak into this hesitation is just talking about Facebook parties. I once tried to host an in-person Usborne party and it completely flopped. And I think that's because I don't really have a lot of friends, right? Like there are not very many people who live by me that come over to my house. And so when I think about my friends list, I don't have very many, but that's the great thing about Facebook is that they don't have to be like real friends. None of my real friends have ever bought an Usborne book for me. The people that have supported my business are the people that I haven't talked to in years. And so when people are saying I don't have enough friends, they're just thinking about that immediate circle. I'm like, duh, you're right. None of us have friends. We're all moms. We don't ever leave the house. Sorry, maybe that's just me. Number 2, now isn't a good time. I'm too busy. Also, duh, I get that. I don't think any mom would ever be like, yeah, I have plenty of extra time. Like, let me say yes to that, right? We are all busy. Luckily, the hostess's job is so fast and so easy. And so anybody who tells me now isn't a good time or no, I'm too busy, in my head, it's just like, oh my gosh, they don't even understand how easy this is going to be. I get to share with them what a blessing this is going to be for their life. And so, like, speak into that. They don't understand how easy it is. They don't know. And we get to tell them. It's not being pushy. It's just explaining to them, like, oh my goodness, your job is going to take less than 5 minutes. I do everything else. I can't wait. Let's get it set up. Number 3, I don't like bugging my friends. So I think this one is just direct sales gets a bad name. Right? There are people, and I'm sure you have been in this situation too. I get mass added to groups all the time, or my friends will post on their wall every day about the thing that they sell. We are not going to do that. We are going to send one message personally inviting them to the party, and we are only going to invite the people who want to be there. We are going to have a personalized party. We will personalize the party and the books that we show to your friends. So it's not going to be bugging. We do our parties way different than other direct sales do. Number 4, I've hosted before and they never go well. Okay, you guys, not to put down any other direct sales or even Usborne consultants, not everybody does parties well. Not everybody does. I have sat in parties where the party isn't done well. And so when somebody says like my party has never gone well in the past, I want them to try it again with me because I know that I can throw an awesome party for them. And so one thing that I just ask is like, you know what, we can do it. I can't wait. It's going to be awesome. Will you trust me in the process though? Because sometimes they don't go well because the hostess doesn't follow the steps. And so I do need them to trust me. But if they trust me, and they have at least 200 Facebook friends, we can make their party go well. Number 5, one that we're starting to hear super often is maybe in the fall, maybe closer to the Christmas season. I will say that people are always going to say whatever time that they think their party is going to be the most successful. And so when people say maybe in the fall, maybe closer to Christmas, it is because they think that that will give them the best party that they can, okay? So we have to tell them why now is better. I know that if somebody waits a few months to throw a party, they're not going to be excited about it. They're probably going to end up canceling or ghosting on me. That is why I try to book my parties as soon as possible I can to the party that they are attending. Can I tell them that? No. But things that I can tell them is, okay, the new titles just came out. Like so many people are buying right now. Even my Usborne junkies are buying right now because this is the first time that they've seen these titles. Our Christmas titles are out now. And guys, people are shopping for Christmas now. It's crazy. And they actually have money now. If we wait until October or November, people are going to have already spent their money on other things. And that's when we start hearing, I've already bought all my Christmas presents, or I'm saving for Christmas presents. I don't have any more money, or whatever it might be. And so sooner is always better. If we can get people to come to parties now, yes, you're going to have some people that are already shopping for Christmas presents, but then you're also going to have people that are homeschooling and buying their curriculum, or you're also going to have people that have fall birthdays that are buying for those. And so you're just kind of widening who is going to purchase from our party. And number 6, sometimes people are just saying, no, I'm not interested. And so I just like to ask why. Like, completely understand, I wasn't interested at first either. Can I ask why? Or what's your biggest hesitation? Or what's the biggest thing holding you back? So I just ask them. I start a conversation with them. Same thing if like I was talking in person to somebody and I'm like, hey, you should, have you ever thought about hosting a husband party? And they're like, nope. And I'd be like, okay, why not? I would have a conversation. Okay, so speaking into hesitations is important. If we cannot get this step down, it doesn't matter how many people you ask. It doesn't matter how many parties that you do. You are never going to have a full calendar. You are never going to be able to continue booking parties. This is so important. I feel like we could do a whole training just on hesitations. But alas, we will move on. And so one thing that you heard me talk about often, or hopefully, is that the most successful way to get parties is to book parties from parties. If you often find yourself with an empty calendar, if you often find yourself having to randomly go back through and send messages just like all the time, that means that you're not booking parties from parties. Every party that I do, by the time that party ends, I should have 2 parties booked from it, and it's not over until I have 2 parties booked from it. So here are some tips on how to book parties from the party that you're currently doing. Number 1, send your party guests a message and keep track of who has seen it. So if you are brand new, you might not have done a party yet with people who aren't your Facebook friend, but it gets tricky. So Facebook has this crazy thing where if somebody is not your Facebook friends, they don't easily see your message. It goes to their other folder and it is so hard to find. So the way that I do this, as soon as the party starts, I send out a message from the event page and I keep track of who has seen it. It's going to like pop up and give you a notification and say, so-and-so has accepted your message, or you can now call so-and-so. Write their name down. Start your party notebook and put an X by their name so you know who has seen it. It is super important that you know who has seen your messages every single time that you sit down for that party. Number 2, get the guest to message you. So every single party that I do, live party post number 1 is some sort of game where they have to message me. Also in the ages and interest posts, if there's anybody who comments there who I don't have a message going with, I want them to message me. That way it like automatically pops up like all of the messages, and then from then on we'll have a message conversation going. So when they message me, it solves all hard things that like they can't see it. Number 3, ask junkies to host before the live party starts. Okay, so this goes back to I'm getting the message established. So I'm going to send somebody a message and I'm like, hey, thanks so much for being here. How do you know our host is Susie? And they're like, oh my gosh, Susie and I went to high school together, and I'm so excited to be here at this party. Yay, I'm so excited that you're here. Tell me, are you already familiar with Usborne Books and More? And if they're like, yes, we love them. Yay, I'm so excited that you love them. What are some of your favorite books? And so they might be like, well, our favorite books currently are all better, but we're looking for some older ones. Yay, I have so many books that I can't wait to show you. Have you ever hosted your own party before? I think you would be an amazing hostess. So I'm dropping a seed. I'm bringing it up. And then they can tell me, yes, I've hosted before and it didn't go well, or no, I've never hosted before. I'd rather just be a customer, or whatever it is. And I can start speaking into those hesitations right then. Are they going to book right then? Maybe not, but at least I can bring it up and it's going to be on their radar. Number 4, use a party booking post in the live party. So a post is going to go up in the live party that talks about booking a party. Again, that's just planting a seed. Very rarely do I get somebody to book a party right then, but often people will say their hesitation right there. So like, I would book a party if I had more time. And so I can reply to it right there on the party page and talk to them about, girl, it's so quick and easy. Don't even worry. And I can tag Susie and be like, Susie, tell her how fast and easy it is. And so other people might be having that hesitation too. And when they read that, they can be like, oh, Susie says it's so easy. I trust Susie. Let's do this. Number 5, message everyone as soon as the live party ends. So again, what I talked about at the beginning of as soon as you want to do it as quickly to the live party as you can. The longer that you wait, the less excited that they will be. So as soon as the live party ends, I'm sending every single person a message and I'm breaking up posting right then and there. That is the most excitement that they will ever have. So I want to take advantage of that. As soon as someone orders, I am asking them to host their own party. When somebody says no to ordering, I am asking them to host their own party. Okay, so if you get the picture here, I am asking every single person that attends a party, and I'm asking them more than once, because I know that it took me like probably 3 or 4 asks to finally say yes. And so I'm going to ask people more than once. If you feel funny about asking them more than once, own it. Okay, I know you said no last time, but I just wanted to make sure because you were so much fun and I love partying with you. Are you totally sure that you don't want to host your own party? You'd be amazing. So own it, like add that into the messaging, to the wording that you use. Number 8, turn your prize winners into hostesses. You guys, be strategic with the people that you pick for your prize winners. If there is anybody that has participated that you do not have a message going with, automatic prize winner. If there is somebody that you asked to host and they kind of ignored it, or they didn't say like a flat out no, prize winner, so you can bring it up again. The whole reason that we do prize winners is so that we can flip them into hostesses. So be intentional. Bring up hosting their own party. Ideally, we wouldn't be sending any prize books out because they all become hostesses, right? Number 9, if they still say no. So if you go through all of these things, you speak into the hesitations, and they still say no, that is when I schedule a date to follow up. Like, totally understand. Would it be okay if I follow up with you in a few months and see if you've changed your mind then? Something like that. And last little tip, number 10, get your hostess on the calendar for her next party. So we have found that hostesses have successful parties if we space them out about 6 months. And so if I'm doing a party with my hostess now, I'm going to go ahead and get them on my calendar for a January party. We're going to have a ton of new titles that have been out by then. We actually have releases 4 times a year. So in September, October, we have another mini release, and then January is our next huge release. And so with that hostess party again in January, we're going to have 2 releases since our last party. So it will 100% still have a chance to be successful. Okay, and then last but least, make sure that you are always evaluating your parties. If you are doing parties and they are not going well and you are not getting parties booked from them and you're constantly finding yourself with an empty calendar, we have to self-evaluate. We have to figure out what is going on. Like, what step am I missing? Because I promise you guys that this formula works. So if it is not working for you, there is something that we're missing. It is. It's easy to blame like something else of like, oh, well, that formula doesn't work for me. Or, you know, they might have success because they have a bigger customer base or whatever it is. But honestly, this formula works for every single person. And so if it's not working for you, we need to look at why. So question number 1, did I ask every single person in this party to host? Number 2, do I have the mindset that a party isn't over until I find a booking? This is a big one because I think so often we can just kind of give up and move to the next party. The party isn't over until you find a booking. I don't care how many follow-up messages you have to send, if you get your hostess involved, if you even start like, oh, will you do her a favor and just host? So if you're in your first 12 weeks and you hit $250 in sales and a booking, your hostess gets double free book rewards. So that's a huge incentive. And I had some people asking me of like, well, I got 2 parties booked from this one. So could I just put one party under this party to give her the double rewards too? No. The whole reason that that is in place is to make sure that your hostess has a reason to reach out to her friends and to get a booking. It does nothing for your business if you just rearrange it to where your hostess doesn't have to get a booking. Tell that hostess, like, girl, you're going to get double free books when we find this booking. Who do you think would book a party? Who can we reach out to and tell her how easy it is? You can reach out to her friends and be like, Stephanie will get $50 more in free books if you'd host. What do you say? I know you're a little hesitant, but you want to give it a try. Okay, number 3, have I continued each conversation as far as possible? A lot of times we ask for screenshots. So when somebody is struggling with booking parties or getting orders in or whatever it might be, we ask for screenshots. And so often we see people that just don't reply to a conversation or a message. And we're like, what happened here? And they're like, oh, I must have forgotten to reply to that conversation. I must have forgotten to get back to her. We have to be intentional that every single conversation that we have, we keep it going. If they say no, we bring it up in another way. If they say no to ordering, we bring up hosting. If they say no to hosting, we speak into the hesitation. Like, we have to keep the conversation going. So be intentional with those conversations. Probably the hardest thing for me when I first got started was that I wanted to reply to each person, each of my customers, as soon as the message came in. And so I was always on my phone. I was always opening messages. And I found myself not replying very well to them because I was trying to like hurry and just send something. Or I found myself forgetting to reply back because I would open it in a time that I couldn't reply and then I forgot. So the biggest thing that I can tell you is to not even open your messenger until you are sitting down at your computer and it is time for you to work. Your replies will be better. You will be more on top of things. You can make notes in your party notebook, and so that you can continue the conversation the next time that you sit down. If you happen to look at a message and you cannot reply right then, go ahead and just mark it back as unread. You can do that on your computer or your phone. That is going to be super helpful as you get going further in your business. And then number 4, to evaluate, am I aiming for 2 parties booked from each party? That is the way to truly grow and multiply your business. Okay, so that is the end of the presentation that I have. So if you guys have any questions, we have about 2 minutes that I can stay on and answer questions. So today's Zoom is about booking parties. And so if you have any questions about booking parties, go ahead and drop them below. You can type them in the chat. Next week, I think we are going to be talking about the actual like party itself. Probably. So now that we've booked the parties, we're probably going to be looking more at hostess coaching and the pre-party, getting messages going, relationships going with your guest, things like that. And so tune back in next week at 8 p.m. For some help with hostess coaching, because that is probably one of the trickiest parts of this business. Any questions? Okay. You guys are awesome. Thanks for tuning in, and we will see you next Tuesday night.